so I'm talking about a dude in the name of Derrick Jaxn. And just saying his name, I listened to somebody who had a take on his name. The fact that he spells his name Jaxn, it just, that should already raise red flags for you. That should already raise.
That's what tipped you off right there.
Yeah, I was like, Jackson, and I was looking for him, and I saw the auto correction of his name. I was like, what? Like, what kind of tool is this guy? And just the way that he kind of presents himself as this almost like a hero of excellence and of what manhood is supposed to embody. He's an attractive, well-built man, with a flawless hairline, and relationship guru expert, and just telling people, like, you don't have to settle for less, you don't have to settle for this, which are all good and positive. But then some of his takes can be very can be a little questionable in terms of the absolutism that he puts to men and human nature, and saying that women don't have to, like, you don't have to put up with certain flaws and things that just happen in relationships. And to really round it out, it to me, what frustrated me most about him and just this whole controversy, and for those of you who may not have heard, he gave all this relationship advice for years, selling books off the back of this relationship advice, having a large social media presence off the back of this relationship advice. And it was recently discovered that he had been cheating on his wife for a while, and he admitted to it and did this whole Instagram reveal about it, with his wife sitting next to him. And so he would say things like, oh, if a man cheats on you, you don't have to forgive him, get out of that situation. He shows you his true colors. There's no excuse for cheating, and really setting this really unrealistically high bar that was a house of cards that was just waiting to be blown down. And some people found out about it, and some of the women that he has been cheating with his wife on have had, or he has been cheating on his wife with, came out and kind of exposed him, and he had no choice but to kind of acknowledge it after really making himself out to be this perfect, flawless person. And to me, it just kind of set up a question in my mind as to the public versus the private personalities that we have, and how we can set ourselves up to be or people can set themselves up to be public figures that are supposed to be admired. But ultimately, are you setting yourself up for failure if you create an unrealistic expectation for yourself? And I wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, man, that man was out here selling self-help and helping himself.
I love that quote. Yeah.
Yeah, it was borderline comical on so many different levels, because, like, I didn't even know dude was married. So that was one, because I guess from what I had seen, I hadn't really seen him broadcast it too much, but that's one thing. And then also, like you said, the level of hypocrisy to be a relationship guru and to preach these things about what women should expect from their man and from their partner, and simultaneously not providing any of those things. So it kind of speaks to a larger conversation that I wanted to talk about, because I echo a lot of your thoughts. Like I feel the same way about it, maybe with like a little bit of a lighter tone, I guess, because it's hilarious to me in so many different ways. But it kind of speaks to the internet and the images that we're allowed to create. So I wanted to ask you, do you think, how easy is it to present an enhanced or a false image of yourself with the existence of social media and the internet? And does that have a negative influence on the people that are consuming those images? because I do think that it's very easy to present your best self on the internet and on social media. And we all kind of get into this place where we're looking at everyone's best self and feeling worse about our actual self in the process.
Yeah. I think it is very easy to create an enhanced image of yourself. And what social media has become, it it is what television and magazines and newspapers used to be. They used to be places, magazines were places where in our past where we looked at the people who were on the covers of magazines, who were on television and in commercials and in movies, and we saw that as the epitome of excellence. They set the bar that we all had to follow. Now you have that same kind of creation of a whole brand, of a whole identity. You can put it on social media and really just create a new identity for yourself that you can edit in whatever way you want. You can filter in whatever way you want. And
Mm-hmm.
we kind of set up unrealistic expectations of what it means to be a human, of what it means to be in a relationship, of what it means to be a complex person that is capable of messing up and that sometimes needs to be able to have a path towards redemption. What really annoyed me about a Derrick Jaxn is that he set up this perfect public persona and would say things like, if you're a cheating man, there's no excuse, and that you should move on from that man and you should get yourself a new one. And just this idea that for some people that's necessary, but that's not always the case for everybody, and everybody has a different reaction to infidelity. A lot of people are often hurt by it, but what it says about your relationship and what you should do with your relationship is an individual conversation to be had with you and your significant other. And it's not something that deserves a kind of blanket across the board expectation and reaction. It really
Right.
should be up to individuals to figure out the best idea for themselves. And it so and you just think about other stuff like car culture and feeling like, oh man, this dude, he got the Benz, he got the BMW, I need that BMW. Oh man, this girl, she's taking these incredible photos, she has an incredible body, I need that kind of body. Oh, he got great abs, man, I'm this person, I need to get my abs up. And hey, being healthy is good, but show all the intricacies and the complexities of getting on a journey, and stop
The
trying
struggle. Yeah.
to,
It's
yeah,
all
show the
success and no
struggle.
struggle.
Exactly. And that's what has become really toxic in our social media culture.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like I definitely relate to even like the body aspect of it too, you know, because as someone that is in good physical shape, like part of the reason that you're always striving for more and for better is because you're always seeing more and better, and
Mm,
you don't feel like I find myself in a lot of times I'm not satisfied with my own body and the way that I look because I'm constantly being bombarded with bodies of people that do it for a living or have been doing it for decades or are on all kinds of substances or using filters or in on season as opposed to an off season. So it's a
right.
very similar thing with Derrick Jaxn in terms of creating this image of yourself that that is hard for people to live up to, and people may be hard on themselves for not being able to live up to that image outside of just infidelity, just in terms of uh like let's say you're a man and you're not able to provide in the way that he's talking about in terms of for your woman, you're feeling bad about yourself in that way. Or if you're a woman and you're not measuring up to the ideal woman that he says you're supposed to be, and then it turns out this whole time it's he's not measuring up to any of these standards.
Yeah.
So it is a very, it's actually I think a positive overall, because it
Hmm.
definitely shows that it's okay to have flaws and to not put these people up on a pedestal like you said, because they are human, and if they
Right.
present themselves as anything more than that, then they're lying
Mm,
you know
yeah.
so
Yeah.
with celebrities and with Hollywood and with social media, we're all presented with these perfect images all the time when that's not the case, you know?
Yeah.
People will ask me sometimes like about like what my routine is, or they'll be like, oh man, like uh I wish my abs look like yours. But it's like, do you? Like, do you want to be hungry on a, you know, do you want to be hungry 95% of the time? Do you want to deal with
Hmm.
sleeplessness or headaches or cravings? Or do you want to get up and work out an hour and a half, 2 hours, 6 days a week? Do you want to put like, because some of these standards are unrealistic for the average person, and you
Yeah.
shouldn't do these standards. I just do them because I'm a maniac and my brain is messed up from having like body dysmorphia because of social media. Like, that's why I do it, and also like, my job. But like
Yeah.
outside of those things, like, we all have these standards that we're all mixed up and messed up, about. But at least, I and many other people are honest about what it takes to get to these certain levels of whatever you're trying to achieve. So I wish that people like Derrick Jaxn and other people would be more honest about how they got to where they got to, or at least acknowledging at least where they are, that they're not perfect in what they're trying to do. But another angle that I wanted to talk about that I haven't really seen covered, I want to get your opinion on it as some, because you identify as a Christian, but uh, I wanted to get your opinion on the religious angle of it, because I've seen a couple dozen Derrick Jaxn videos over the course of his career, and just in passing, like I don't really search them out or anything, like, but he's a very popular guy. He just comes up on whatever timeline you're on, periodically. But I didn't really see too much of a religious tone in most of his videos. But when I watched the video of him and his wife explaining the situation where they were next to each other and holding hands, it seemed like almost all of his rhetoric was religious. Like, it seemed like he was using religion as a shield for his broken relationship. It seemed like he was trying to say, like, this instance isn't necessarily an instance of me having a lack of self-control or being selfish. It's more of like, it's that, but he also would say, like, it's God testing their relationship. And she would kind of buy into that also and just say, like, oh yeah, it's God that's testing us. And he would say, like, or she said openly that she was looking for a change in him in order for them to get back together. So I kind of interpreted that change as being a religious one, where he probably got more devoutly religious, or appeared to be, in order to get in his wife's good graces. So I wanted to get your take on that. If that is the case, what do you think about him not only just dirtbagging it out here in terms of cheating, but possibly using religion to uh, cover for himself?
I think that he did in a sense. And so what's interesting, because I haven't followed his social media presence that closely, but I did
Mm.
notice a very stark difference between some of his older videos and more of his recent videos, especially with his wife, and a more recent video of her just saying that she's ready for a spiritual warfare battle. And to me, it's like, it's it's very convenient. It's extremely convenient that now this is the time where you're saying, oh, I need this, I want to be this kind of man, and I'm learning, and da this and da that. And it's, to me, I think he's trying to position himself to pivot from a perfect relationship guru to a flawed Christian guru. And I think he's probably maybe in the process of trying to rebrand himself in some way, some
Mm.
shape, and while also trying to avoid this empire that he's created for himself come crashing down. Um, and so it's very opportunistic. And I think that maybe he's just taking time to maybe recalibrate himself, because I was looking on his page and I couldn't really see too many new videos per se. And to me, that frustrates me, the fact that he's going that route and he's taking that angle, because it just shows the lack of authenticity that maybe he's had from the beginning, and that he's just doing certain things out of convenience and not because it's actually true to who he is as a person. And I think he's just trying to, create and manage a brand, as
Mm.
opposed to being himself, which kind of social media gives the illusion of. It gives the illusion of oh, this is me, this is my authentic self, look at me, you have more access to my life. But really, it's all curated and manufactured. And it's okay to do that, but just be upfront about it. You know what I mean? Be
Yeah.
upfront about the kind of personality and persona that you're trying to develop. And what frustrates me the most about a Derrick Jaxn is that he has preyed primarily on women of color and mostly Black women. You know, his content and this message that he's sending, um, in some ways has been helpful and empowering to just, you know, for people to expect more out of relationships. That I always, you know, I'll give credit for, and I'll say that's positive. But ultimately, he's also trying to sell hope that the people are gonna be able to find the perfect person, that's not going to take advantage of them, that's not going to, you know, leave them, you know, in shambles, and that is going to give them everything that they desire. And he does that whether by selling books as well as other things that kind of help to promote that brand. And he did it off the, you know, trying to again position himself as being that ideal man, and saying, yes, you can find someone like me, you can find someone who's going to, you know, check all your boxes and be completely flawless. And so I think for me, that was the most frustrating thing to watch someone pretend to be this perfect, flawless individual, while at the same time using that to enhance his own personal agenda and not give not give the best and most prudent advice to people, and to speak in absolutes and to make himself seem like he's above the fray. And I can't stand when people do that, because it just shows a level of cynicism that people rightly have with public figures, and because they often disappoint us, and it's hard to find a public figure that's, you know, that's flawless.
Right. Yeah, it's just I agree with everything, man. It's a weird world that we live in a lot of ways. But
Yeah.
I would just say to everyone, man, that's listening, just love yourself, and love yourself in accordance with your own standards, not the standards that other people have set for you. You know, because
Right.
it's tough to keep your self-esteem and uh, keep your self-image intact in a world that's constantly bombarding you with images that are unrealistic
Yeah.
and flat out lies in a lot of instances. But for Derrick Jaxn, I hope that, you know, he's able to look inward and realize these things that we've talked about today. And I'm sure he's had to reckon with a lot of things himself. You know, no one is perfect, but it is just kind of offensive, like you said, to portray that, and to not only to portray perfection, but to uh, verbally accost people that don't.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I think we're all hypocrites in our own way. We all don't live up to the standards and expectations that we create for ourselves. And we have to give ourselves room for forgiveness and to grow. And so that's another angle that is frustrating to come to terms with a guy like him who portrays himself to be perfect again and to be above the fray. Give yourself room to grow, give yourself room to make mistakes so that you can grow and learn. And when you fall short of your expectations, it's like, okay, this is according to the plan, this is a part of the journey, this isn't the end of my journey and the crashing point of everything that I've built for myself. And yeah, guys, please continue to forgive yourself, continue to show love to yourself, continue to learn from your mistakes, and not lie to yourself. That's the worst thing you can do. You know, lie to yourself, make yourself believe things about yourself that aren't true. And at the end of the day, acknowledge who you are, where you are, and still strive for better, because that's kind of one of our motivating factors as humans, to get better and to do better and to seek for higher and bigger and better. So
Yeah, sure. Well said, bro.